Hello everyone, this is Sharon Alexander with Alexander Arts. That in the chair is Mr. Binky. And this is the mess that we call our studio. He's currently taken up residence in my chair. And I know I didn't do a lot of videos last year, but I thought I'd tell everybody what I did last year. Those pictures against the wall, except for the butterfly, are not from last year, the tropical stuff. But I have a wonderful family group that likes to give me picture frames. So a lot of my older pictures, I've spent a considerable amount of time trying to get up onto the wall. And despite the disaster that I do work in, believe it or not, this is actually better than it was last year. Last year I had started on a painting that I got halfway through it, looked around, and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I think I talked about this last time. So, believe it or not, this is actually better. I'm still working on these. I'm probably going to cut them down to a size I'm going to use this year. And this is a painting I started, and there's something wrong with this paper, so I may end up switching to gouache, which I might add is a goal for this year. I'd like to get into gouache. This is a 3D project that needs to be finished. I need to paint this. This is made with air dry clay on a painted wooden board. There's a little hint of my new look for Morris the Mouse. Because one of the things I got into at the beginning and end of last year was alcohol markers. I love how smooth these look. And then for that shading you see on there, I used my good old Prismacolor pencils that I like. I think those are oil pencils. No, these are my extra Prismas, because I have, thanks to years of collecting and things, lots of extras here. Oh, there's a beautiful little piece by somebody else that I put out. I believe that was, and I'm always having a horrible time with names. But I talked about her last time and linked her, because she had those one year. That purse is a project that obviously hasn't been finished. In fact, it's not even really started. My little Copic collection there, well, Copic and the ones by Michaels, probably a few from Hobby Lobby. I believe these are those Winsor & Newton? Nope, these are Prismacolor markers. I haven't used them yet. My lovely mother-in-law likes to keep a lookout for things at auctions and sales and such. And she brings them to me, like some of these inks I found. And I have a funny story for this, which I'll tell later. The epitome of my last year, as far as I'm concerned, was this. I had decided that I wanted to see what difference it makes when I do a picture in watercolor or acrylic. Now, the acrylic one, as you can see, is quite vibrant, and sunshine's finally coming into the room. So let's bring this into the light a bit more, and maybe we can get a little bit more light on the subject. Yeah, I did the background of this, and I think it still took me a couple of days to finish the wings, because, you know, you have to let everything dry or it'll smear. Because even as fast as acrylic dries, it still has to dry to do anything. And this, right now, there's no sunshine. It's obviously a plastic protector bag to keep it clean and dry and all that. It doesn't look very spectacular here, but we move this into the sunshine. Look at that. Now that background is a bit of a combination, because I made that background with one of the beam paints that I bought last year. And let's see, I don't have that particular one just sitting about. I should have pulled it out. Here it is. But this is how the beam paints are sold unless you buy sets. And believe it or not, this dull looking little thing here is what mostly made that background. It's actually very lighter English, much lighter than what it appears on that picture, because I did a couple of layers, but this is a starry sky. And starry skies should be dark and mysterious. So I layered indigo on top of this. I believe it was Daniel Smith's indigo. No, I'm going to correct that. I'm pretty sure it was Winsor Newton. And I layered that on top, and just look at that. I especially love these upper corners. But anyway, those were my favorite pictures of last year. As I've already mentioned, I really liked the bean paints. So what else did I do last year? Well, this was from a printer. And I put this on the table because I can just tape right to this. This is great. It's easy to clean. It's still dirty from my last project, but that's okay. I collected several of these Winsor and Newton tubes, which are all upside down, of course, because I've got some plans for these. It's what I used to make the lunar moth painting. Whoops. Don't worry, nothing broke. I just dropped the tube. This, I haven't really used this. I had expectations for it. This is the book with the bamboo paper in it, and I tried to stick some stickers on it, as you can see. And I did the tester for the watercolors, and they were all right, but it was clearly not watercolor paper. And it was okay with the dip pen that I used, because I bought, right at the end of the year, this Honegger blackish green. I like the ink. I like the color. It's a nice kind of green-toned blue to my mind, but they call it blackish green. And it was a fairly reasonable price. It ran me about 10 bucks. And as you can see, the dip pen did very well with it. Paper did this, however. Let me pull this up a little bit. Yeah, you see this? The paper did this, and it did this when I got a bit too much ink on that dip pen. I'm still not as practiced with the dip pen. I like the experience well enough, even though I've only got the one nib. But yeah, it's just a really smooth surface. So I thought maybe dip pen would do nicely on it, and it just did. It just going to take a little more practice to get me to use it right. This I sadly did not use at all. I already have the Primatech for metallics, and I prefer their coverage. They give me better coverage. These, I have ideas in mind. I simply haven't gotten to them, and I'm going to have to layer them. They're not going to be something I do on black or something like that, because they have a milkiness to them that really wasn't what I was looking for. Either way, I really have not used those. Now, on accident, I use microns all the time. Anybody who's seen some of my in and pink, I need more coffee, or to untie my tongue, my pink and, there it is again, my ink and pen, there we go, knows that I use a lot of microns. I use also the Sharpies. I like Sharpie pens. They're usually a little thicker, though. And I accidentally picked up a gray. And I wasn't sure what to do with that. But also last year, I had decided, because I had bought several new paints, not just the beams. I've gotten more Winsor Newtons. I've gotten more Daniel Smiths. And I didn't, all of my swatches, this is how I have typically done swatching in the past. Just strips. You can see they're labeled, and they're not inconvenient, because I can pick them up, I can compare them to each other and see how one color might compare to another. It's not a terrible system, but it's a little messy, and occasionally I just flat out lose these things. So sometime last year I bought up this Canson watercolor booklet. It's a small one. I believe this is a 7x9. And it's just pulp paper, so it's not something I'm going to like do for selling. But I used that gray pen and marked out all the lines, because I wanted to do all the colors, like the reds and the blues and the greens all together. And I don't have a lot of some of these because I'm not going to be using the Artezas anymore. And it's nothing against Arteza. Their colors are fine. Some of them are a little odd when they get to certain points, and I've had little grains of the pigment pop up, things like that. And I'm stepping up my game, I guess you could say. I'm moving into the more professional line of paints and away from the student and mid grades, if that makes a lot of sense. So these are mostly Daniel Smith, Winsor Newton. These shiny ones here are Beam. This one's one by Holbein, which I bought because I was having a terrible time with Peach. Because I had started last year working on my little mouse, the little children's story that I do for the kids. And mice have pink tails, pink noses, pink paws, that kind of thing. But pink, baby pink, and kind of pinks you get from reds didn't really thrill me for that application. I bought the coral hoping it would be good, but it was too vibrant. It was too pink. So after a lot of searching around, I finally lighted on the June Brilliant by Holbein. It took me a little bit to get a hold of it. And about the time I bought it, I discovered the Copic markers and found the right color of peach I wanted for the tail. So I have it, but it's probably not going to get used for its original application. But as you can see, I have started this project last year, the end of last year, in fact, because it's not entirely finished. Only made it as far as blues and one green. And now we're going to come up to the white ink story. Because when I got to iridescence and things that are supposed to have a little bit of see-through to them, a little bit of iridescence and less opacity, I came up with the problem that a lot of them don't show up on white paper, but I didn't really want to buy a whole book just for one page. So I cut these strips, glued them into the book, and then the next problem was, well, everything else with the ink is waterproof. And the only thing I thought I had were the gel pens that I have, the Gelly by Sakura. And I didn't know whether or not they would be waterproof for the application I planned them for. So I was talking to a friend, and I was setting up the test to see whether or not they were going to be waterproof, just a little bit of scribble, and then I was going to put some water on them after they were fully dried. And while I'm talking to her, I turn around because I keep all my inks up above the shelf, and lo and behold, there it is, a bottle of white, waterproof, light, fast, pigmented India ink. And about the time I saw it, I remembered, oh, the last time I saw my delightful mother-in-law, she had been to an auction and just found a bunch of random stuff for me, and that was in it. So I can thank her for being able to just finish this project and not have any headaches and hassles. So I don't really have a lot of iridescence in the tubes to put in this yet. It's something that I probably will do later because I do like interference colors is what they're referred to. And I've got plenty of book I can add on. If at some point I manage to fill any or all of these pages, I can always start a new page. No big deal. Or if I drop one and I just want to redo a page, just pull it out and make a new page. So anyway, that's what I've been doing with that. And all of my lovely colors, some of which I bought this year, some of which I bought before. I did buy a new pen at some point. Well, I've been getting into these. They're so much fun. And they have to do with the thing that I probably have had the most fun this year. And the thing that I didn't think I was going to. Now, I did a complete review on this. And this has just been so much fun. It's not something that I ever intend to, sell or give to a museum. I probably will never even make prints with this. But just overall, this has just been so much fun to just doodle, to play. And sometimes we just need a little time to doodle and play. And this book has been great for that. So other than cleaning and putting things on, that's really about what I've done. I've done a couple of drawings. This is from Professor Lau on the Art Professor website, which I will put down in the descriptions as well. It's a wonderful, wonderful community for artists. Lots of reference materials. This is one of her photos, and it is my current project, which hopefully you'll get to see some of later. Anyway, that is what I did this year. I hope you're all having a lovely day. I know it's beautiful and sunny on the first day of the new year, and I hope everybody's having a good day. And I hope you have a good year too. In the meantime, this is Sharon Alexander for Alexander Arts, signing off.